I've been watching, the EDC, from a distance, right? I live in Bridgewater, but Lauren Fisher and I are both owners of the Focus Vermont Gallery in town. And, I'm just curious as to what the long-term goals are for the EDC and whether they tie into other goals within the state and how we're connected, and just, maybe it's just a discussion to have after the adjournment, and maybe that might be the right time. But so anyway, I'm just checking in to find out what's going on.
I think that this isn't the time in the agenda for a back and forth discussion, but
right.
What I would suggest is that I'm sorry.
Would it be appropriate to maybe suggest it? Has he read the website? There's a lot of information about that there.
Yeah. We have 5 priorities, and they've been. I think the place to start would be those 5 priorities, which well, I can tell you what they are just very briefly, but then a longer discussion. I'd be happy to talk to you. I'm sure you can reach out to any EDC member to start that discussion. I think we could put something like that again. We kind of talk about our priorities at almost every meeting,
right.
indirectly.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a while since I've been to this meeting, so I just
let me just give you the list of the 5, and then I might suggest. I think Joe's suggestion is a good one. Take a look at
our website,
at the website, and some of the documents from prior meetings. Over the last 6 months, many of the meetings have focused on this, but the 5 priorities are increasing workforce housing, increasing childcare capacity, physically rejuvenating the downtown village area, marketing Woodstock, and supporting existing and growing new events to serve local folks and visitors.
Okay.
And those are the 5 priority. Those are the 5 priority areas, and we're trying to, yeah, those are the 5 priority areas.
Okay.
So that's sort of an indirect answer to what are the objectives. The objectives are to do those 5 things, and they've changed a little bit over time. So,
yeah, they have. All right.
Are there any other citizen comments? Dave, I know Dave wanted to. Have you? It looks like you're trying to unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I wanted to, there were a couple of things that I briefly talked about with John, and concerns that we have had. I'm from the Shire, and a couple of concerns that we've kind of made note of, issues that we think that aren't particular to us as hotel owners, but one of which is the entire town gets a lot of an influx of young J1 folks who come here, and they're here for 4 months or give or take. And oftentimes, because Woodstock is somewhat disaggregated, I feel like a lot of the young people that are here working for us, they're kind of can be left to their own devices. And it seems an opportunity that is missed because there's no truly organized events that are happening. And those could take all sorts of different forms, but it's in the best interest, I think, of the business community for kids who are coming here for a summer or for a period of time to enjoy their time here and to want to come back and to tell other people that it was a good experience. And, it's also just kind of the right thing to do. I think everybody would love for people, when they do come here to work, to go back to wherever they're from and have enjoyed themselves. So, whether that takes the form of some sort of, if folks on the EDC, and I'd be happy to be involved, but would be able to kind of coordinate and collaborate, and maybe create, whether it be a social media thing, in which, like, in a lot of cities, there are what are called meetups. Meetup.com, I believe, is a website, and you can have events. So you could say, all right, we're going to go on a rafting trip next Wednesday or something like that. Now, I've got 2 kids, one who's 22 and one who's 19, and they may not be familiar with that or have the wherewithal or, take the initiative to start on something like that. And I think we would need a coordination and an organization from, the business community here to ensure something like that happens. And going even a little further, I think creating some sort of community, social community for the workforce here is also in the best interest of the business community, because I've had innumerable folks who, and I've owned the property for only about a year and a half, but who have come and they've stayed for a period of time. And then, if they're young people, it can be isolating. It can be frustrating. And people can say, I just had our manager just departed for Queens, New York. Now, when she arrived, we tried to emphasize the type of experience that she was likely to have, and she seemed on board with it. But nonetheless, creating some sort of social dynamic, I think, could be really helpful for the well-being and happiness of the entire workforce, which I think is really important, given how hard staffing is in general these days. The other thing that I spoke about with John was a lot of the kids who are coming, who are J1s, and then quite a few of the members of the workforce in general, do not have access to automobiles. And creating some sort of common rideshare shuttle service that potentially could go from a couple of different spots in town, whether it be, maybe the Inn and maybe 506 and maybe us, maybe Queechee Club or something like that, which is outside Woodstock, but nonetheless. And then, maybe it goes to Lebanon once a day or something like that. And that would be maybe another opportunity for some of these kids to meet one another and have a better experience. Anyway, that's just some ideas that I've had, kind of an abiding concern for the social well-being of the folks who are working here.
Joe, do you want to, let's not get into a long discussion, but it's just a comment, but if you want to quickly comment.
Sure. I appreciate and I really admire your position, Dave, but it's been our experience at Montverde Cafe. We had 4 J1s last year, and we have 4 again this year. And it's been our experience that all they want to do is work. Even the days off that they're not at the cafe, they're looking for a job at other places, particularly the older guys who have families back in Jamaica or wherever. And they want 2 things. They want to ride to Walmart to get their essentials and a ride over to Western Union to send the money home that they're making here. The kids, the younger kids, well, I personally ferry them back and forth to work. And we have a set schedule at the cafe, who takes who when, and that's how we do it. And when they want to have a social event, which isn't very often, they'll borrow one of our cars and, they'll go to Boston for a day or something like that. But and what they often do, well, I can just throw this in. What they often do is they'll cut their work schedule short in September or whenever it is, and take a few days and go someplace. They may fly someplace or, drive to New York City for a couple of days. But that's been our experience. And we do provide barbecues and other little things that, everybody gets together for. But anyway, that's been our experience. I don't know how other people handle it, like White Cottage or, other folks who have.
Why don't we just leave sorry, Beth, a quick comment.
I just wanted to say, because
for future meetings. So
yeah, because Dave probably doesn't know, and maybe it's just some advocacy that Vermont Transit, Kate used to come through and stop in Woodstock every day at the park and ride just down from you, go to Lebanon, and come back at like 3:30. And I know that many of the people that work at the inn, those, the people you're speaking about, took advantage of that, and they did away with it at the pandemic. So maybe it's a couple phone calls saying, hey, we need that route to come back.
Yeah,
Because they would stop in Queechee also, and then people could get to Lebanon. That's
Yeah.
all.
Let's put this on the agenda for a future meeting. Keep track of it, and I think that's fine. And again, Bob, same thing about your comment. If after the discussion, if you know there's a strong demand, I think it's more catching up than it is having a new discussion, because we've really been talking regularly about our priorities. But if it's necessary, we'll add it to the future agenda as well. So, okay. Are there any other citizen comments? All right, hearing none. I'm sorry, I guess I stopped sharing the agenda. So the first item on the agenda is just to review any loose ends as a result of the wage support program. Let me just give you a quick summary of, there it is. As of a couple of hours ago, we had 68 applicants. 62 of them were in our first priority group. They had lost 20 hours or more. 67 of them, of the 68, had already lost time. One of them, who works for the farmer's market, obviously, or should, maybe not obviously, had not lost wages yet, but is expecting to lose significant wages in the future when their wages run, you know, when they run out of wages, I think in a week or within the next week. 56 of the 68 applications have come from the Woodstock Inn. You can see a few others below, and 2, unfortunately, from, you know, from well-regarded, you know, places that we all feel are part of the local community, but are not in Woodstock. And we don't have the authority to cover those. Well, I mean, our proposal did not cover them, and so we're not going to be able to do that. That's where we stand as of 4:30. I've had a couple of questions for those of you who, if you want to answer, if people ask you, is it, if someone applies for unemployment for this program, the answer is yes, partly because we didn't discuss it, and partly because it seemed, so I mean, we didn't discuss it, and so I'm not saying it's wrong. I probably would have said it was fine, but they are eligible because we didn't exclude them. That's really the only question I had. Well, so someone also wanted to know if they could call someone to do this application over the phone, and I said no.
A couple of questions.
And that person, by the way, applied. They got a friend to help.
A couple of questions I got was, you know, are we still eligible for Hub? Can we still apply to Hub?
Okay, absolutely.
And, from the discussions we had while we were putting this together, the answer was yes at that time, because this was not funneled through Hub. This was not a part of Hub. It was strictly EDC. So they didn't exclude them from Hub.
Absolutely. Agree.
Yeah.
And if there are other questions, if you want to just send them to me, I can post an FAQ on the listserv if there are more questions in this. I think, you know, the deadline we said is next Wednesday. We'll have a couple of days without posts because people are probably tired of it, but post again a few times on, you know, Saturday and Monday, that sort of thing. And then on Wednesday, we will reach out. If the profile of the application stays the same, the process of reaching out to the employers is, I mean, I can just do it. It's 4 employers. We just send them a spreadsheet and ask them, you know, if the work that needs to be done after the deadline closes is based on the number of employers, not the number of applicants. So right now I would have to send 4 emails to 4 people. So if that's the profile, then
Easy enough.
yeah. If not, I'll keep you all posted via email if we need to divide up the work. Are there any other thoughts or comments about that we need to, again, this is really just an information update. I have heard from one select board member that they are disappointed that that this is the profile of the request so far, and that in the context that the inn, you know, we discussed with the inn whether or not they could make a contribution to the fund, and they felt that they were not able to. I think the time to discuss that further, if there is a time, is after we have all the applicants in. I think there was an effort at the end to really publicize this. I know there was. So,
Yes.
any other thoughts or comments?
Nope, I'm good.
Hey, John,
Yes, Patrick?
is there, it seems to me that with these low numbers for people out, not part of the inn, that maybe we need to think about what's another way to distribute this information to people. I don't know what that is. Maybe we get the standard to do something, but it's pretty lopsided.
Actually, I made an executive decision, and there is an ad, a half-page ad in today's Vermont Standard announcing the program.
Okay, yeah, because
The cost of $422 or something like that.
I mean,
I'm
that-
sure there's other businesses that employees are losing income that are in Woodstock.
Let me have one comment. The folks I did speak with that were applying were so grateful. They were really, really happy about it. And even talking with Patrick Crow, who is the owner of the Woodstock Farmers Market, he even said he was, really grateful that something was being done.
I should have started with that. I always start with the problem. I've heard from many, many people.
Many people say they were so grateful
Agreed.
to the EDC for initiating this program.
John, one other thing. Hey, Beth, is it possible to send this information out through the chamber to the businesses?
Yes, it's the priority for tomorrow is to send that out, as well as the forum that was last week that had all of the unemployment information in it also as a video.
Great, thank you.
Anything else? Okay. A quick review of our overall financial situation. Sorry, I don't have a doc. Oh, shoot. Okay. I need to, sorry, give me 1 second. I'm just going to open up the EDC grant manager, the EDC portal. I'm almost there. Okay. So I just want to make everyone sort of aware of this capability, as well as to show you what's actually in it. Joe, you might want to just look at my screen here, because I don't, we can't make that bigger yet. This is the EDC grant manager, and anyone can set up an account. And in it, there's a category called reports. And there are 2 reports here. One is the current financial position, one is EDC revenues. This has allowed us to basically to eliminate, it's helped us to eliminate a part-time administrative position where we used to spend $30,000 a year. We now spend about $2,000 a year on administration, because this is all automated, because all the grants now go through this portal. And as a result, we can sort of just push a button and get this report. So basically, we will, by the end of December, receive about 2,382,000 of revenue, almost 2.4 million. That is forecasting a slight decline in our revenue for the third and fourth quarters.
So I don't think that'll happen.
Yeah, well, it's just based on what happened in the first quarter.
John, is this lifetime? Is this life?
This is since the inception of the EDC.
Yeah, okay, because it's a 2-point-something million is not more than a normal quarter.
This is sick. Yeah, this is, sorry. Let me just show you so this is the other report that you would get. This shows our local options tax. So this shows our revenue. So last year, we started out the first full year with 240,000. In 2022, we were at 380,000. This year, we're forecasting a bit of a decline because the first quarter was up 10%, but the second quarter was down 12%. And so overall, we're forecasting, you can see now, we're forecasting, and the system forecasts automatically based on the history. So we're forecasting a little bit less, 357. And that's the number, 357, that is included in this number here, 2,369. There was for a while a little tiny little other revenue numbers, but now it's really just the local options tax. So 2,380,000. We have given grants, we've awarded grants of slightly more than that, 2.4 million. However, we will recapture about $100,000 of the 2.4 million that we've granted, because grantees don't always spend all of their money. And about half or more than half, slightly more than half of our grants are now in effect closed. An example would be the 2021 fireworks, right? We gave a grant for $5,000 for that. That's no longer going to be used. So that money kind of comes back into our account, so to speak. Which means that our encumbered funds, money that we have committed, is 2.3 million, and that leaves us with $63,000. We have not entered the $45,000 grant to the Lost Wages Fund or the $5,000 additional grant to the marketing group. That was just approved. So when we add that up, we basically will end the year, if we hit those revenue numbers, we'll end the year with about $10,000, $13,000, something like that. So we've effectively spent our budget, as we knew we had. From a cash point of view, so we have the $63,000 are unencumbered. We haven't committed them to anyone. Take out 50,000. 13,475 is unencumbered. But we have $689,000 in the bank, because grantees to whom we promised funds have not taken all of their money yet. Right. There's $625,000 of money that for example, the childcare providers have not taken their money.
Housing, right?
Housing has taken much of their money, but not all of it, right? And a lot of people, global, local, the concert folks haven't taken all their money.
Yeah.
And so forth. So that's our financial condition. We have cash, but we don't really have funds. As we talked about in our last two meetings or our series of meetings in August, the money that we've devoted to the wage fund is really the remaining funds that we could give out this year. We'll now wait till next year. Yeah. Any questions, comments? No. And Patrick, even though you're no longer a member, if you could continue your excellent monitoring of the chat.
Yeah, I will.
That would be helpful.
Also, John, I want to say thank you for putting that whole program together, because John's done all the work on this to make this thing automated, and having been part of the backside in managing a grant or two, it's really, really far ahead of anything we've had in previous years, and works really, really well. So thank you, John.
Yeah, no, thank you. I enjoyed doing it, actually. Next topic, discuss preparations for the community grant process. I just put this on the agenda because it's coming. I think if we were to have a discussion of this in our September meeting and make whatever decisions we need to make, that seems to me to be on schedule, and we would be in a position, I think, to announce the applications, certainly by October 1st, if not by mid-September. I think the things we would want to talk about in September would be, do we want to have the same kind of application? I think we got rid of the pre-application process last year, right? So if we stick with the same process as last year, I think there's not too much work to do. Todd, we have to update the dates in the app that Todd's person wrote. Remember that we voted to reduce the allocation to the community grant program to $70,000 this coming year, as we gradually bring it down to 30,000. I think we said we could revisit that decision. I mean, we always can revisit a decision, but we've had voted on it, so we might put that on, that might be on the agenda. Any other things that we should prepare for the next meeting? I'm not suggesting we discuss it here. Really, I just wanted to tee it up for next meeting, unless people felt that that was too late to deal with it.
You want to talk about what we talked about on the phone about, a loan thing for somebody, one of the businesses that might be in real critical position and need some help?
Let's.
Oh, you want, like, you can talk about the next meeting?
Well, I think that would be separate from the community grant program. The community grant, yeah. So let's.
I mean, I thought you meant you wanted other topics. to talk about.
For the September meeting,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Well, first specifically, I just want to get this has to be on the agenda in September. Is anyone think of any more complicated pressing issues that we will need to discuss about the community grants? I think it's pretty straightforward, but I just put it on here to check.
Mhm.
Hearing none, will proceed as I just described.
John, are you sharing a document? Because I'm not seeing anything.
No, I'm not. There's no document there.
Okay.
All right. I think we said we would add to new business the timing of postings, Larry's suggestion of a topic. I think, Larry, you briefly but concisely explained the purpose of raising it. Do you want to add anything?
Well, no, I'm probably slower than all the rest of you all, but well, it seems like we get reports that are fairly complicated and ask for votes right at the meeting. I find it hard to digest it all. And it seems that I would suggest that we set up some sort of a process or protocol or whatever that maybe by the Wednesday morning of a Thursday meeting, I don't know the exact timing, that gets posted 1 and 2, that we all get a notice that something has been posted. Because I
don't think you're slow. I think you're more thorough than the rest of us, probably.
What's that?
I said, I don't think you're slow. I think you're just more thorough than the rest of us maybe at times.
I don't think so, but anyway.
I agree with your thoroughness point. I'd like to not state an opinion about the slowness. I'd like to leave open the possibility. But he's definitely thorough. Can I, Larry, raise in case it isn't obvious, the main reason for this is how I operate, just personally. I do things at the last minute, and that's, I think, driving some people crazy. And this isn't the only organization in which it's driven people crazy. So I'm surprised it took you all 4 years to raise this issue officially.
Well, you had a person helping you for the first 2, John.
Well, I think that's the issue. I think that there are two types of documents. Larry, you mentioned in particular complicated proposals that we're voting on, or even, I would argue, not complicated proposals that we're voting on. The key, I think, is that we're voting on, and that people have time to. So my instinct would be for things that are going to be voted on at a meeting, that we set a deadline that's earlier than what you suggested. If people, I would do it Tuesday morning, which gives people Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to review it. But it also is quite close. I mean, most boards in Woodstock do things a week in advance, which I find makes it more difficult to keep up with current events. I mean, for example, if we had tried to do, yesterday's report on the lost wages report would have been a blank piece of paper. Yeah. So, yeah. But I think that there's a difference between things that we're voting on and information like the charts that I just put up here. Those, I think, are, Larry, would you agree that there's that anything that we're voting on should have in writing clear, advance preparation? Now, whether or not, notifying people, yeah, we could do that. I prefer to just have people check on Tuesday morning. But maybe someone else, maybe what we can do is have someone else on the committee, be responsible for notifying and making sure that all the documents are in.
Why not just ask the person that's posting to then notify everybody that something's been posted?
Well,
So we also should have there may be an emergency or there may be some reasons why it's the last minute.
no, of course.
But,
Yeah, of course. I mean,
but the person who's posting, that's the process. You post and you let everybody on the committee know that you posted.
you can't yeah, I have
Or
to.
you post it for them or whatever.
Well, but yeah. But they notify, the posters notify, anyone who's putting up a proposal to vote is.
John, I'm gonna suggest a different thing. Because now that I'm not on the board, but I still might want to read things. I think if you can stick with a day that things have to be up, understanding that there may be some emergency stuff occasionally, that would be best, because then people who are in the community, will know that on that Tuesday is when things go up. Otherwise, somebody coming into the meeting won't know what's going on. This way they can prepare as well. Maybe it's as simple as a notice on the listserv.
Yeah. Is Tuesday morning a good time frame? Does anyone disagree with that?
John, I read it that day. I mean,
No.
if it comes up on a Tuesday morning, me personally, I'll say, yeah, okay, I'll read it later. And then Thursday morning, I'll get into it.
No, that's fine, but
Yeah,
some people want that.
That's what I do.
Well,
Just my own personal work.
Larry, any concern with Tuesday morning? I don't think that's too
No,
far.
that's fine.
I think that's much
Yeah.
tighter than any other.
Yeah. Fine.
Let's try for the next couple of months. Since I'm the recipient of these proposals, it takes me as much time to do it on Monday night as it does on Thursday afternoon. It's the same amount of work. It's just, I always put things off till the last minute. So let's see if we can execute the Tuesday morning approach with a notification to the EDC. And we'll tell people, and then the community will get used to the fact that on Tuesday morning, in fact, I'll put on the webpage that these documents are posted on Tuesday morning. So, and let's see if that works. And then let's revisit that in 2 months and see if.
I'll add one other thought, John. When you do the meeting, when you do the notice of the meetings, make reference that all documents are posted on Tuesday as well. That way people, will be reminded.
Yeah. Okay.
Patrick, is your hand still raised? I see a
Nope.
little spot on your screen there.
No,
Is that
it's
what
No,
that is?
this might be my lights.
It disappeared.
Ah,
Okay. Are there any other, okay, I have a real conflict of interest here because Deb is going to join us in 2 minutes, but the Jets game is about to start right now. And if she doesn't show up,
New York Jets,
that's right.
they're playing today?
It's the first,
What,
Preseason?
the first preseason game.
Playing Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, it doesn't start till 8, but if there was a motion to adjourn, then we would tell Deborah that, we just.
Why are you a Jets fan?
He's one of the few. He's one of the few, Joe.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm the Jet fan. Let me just tell you briefly that Deborah has made some real progress. She's about to start reaching out to grantees. Since we don't have a quorum, my instinct is that we should adjourn, but I'll just tell you that she'll give an update at the next meeting, but she's going to start reaching out to grantees. Some of the grantees she's just going to meet with, she's going to ask them for some basic reporting back, and she'll report to the EDC. Others that are more relevant to more major, she will ask to have that review with the full EDC. We're only talking about a 10-minute update, and so forth.
Is she gonna require the grantee themselves to make any
Yes.
comments at the meeting?
Either to her in her meeting, and then she'll report, or to us.
Yeah.
Todd, at our next meeting, Todd is going to have all of the childcare providers give an update to the EDC in the September meeting. So he would have done it today, but he's in London today. So with that, I think we have. Are there any other items of business?
Can I vote to adjourn?
Hearing none. Is there a motion to adjourn, Joe?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Larry, I think you have to do it. Well, Marion is on too still. All
Larry just did.
right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right.
There's only the threes, John.
No, I think Marion is.
We lost Marion.
Lost Marion. All right. Well, then this is sort of an unofficial meeting, but I think it was still useful. We had
This
some
is
good
gonna be
ideas out here.
NCAA record for us, right?
7:10.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everybody. And we
40
will
minutes.
post the recording of this meeting, even though it's not official, so. All right, thanks, everybody. Take care.